Yeah, my whole story felt like, so I always knew I would get cancer. I just thought it would be ovarian or cervical. I never thought in a million years it would mutate into breast. Just because being born, I had a benign tumor on my right leg that they removed, but they were worried that I wouldn't crawl or walk well. But I did. And then they thought my mother would die. They thought actually both of us would die because I was born 3 months early, and like they told my father, like, you got to prepare because there wasn't a scenario where both of us would live, but we did.
Wow. So
Yeah.
so having that the cancer on your leg, did that mean you got kind of like monitored, scanned? Was there any follow up, or was that just kind of that was it?
Um. So the tumor on the right leg, like that was it because it was benign. But as I got older, I started having problems with my ovaries. I would get cysts the size of lemons on my left and right ovary. I would have, you know, inconsistent uh, pap smears, like abnormal pap smears sometimes. Like, so it was funny. I always joke. I was like, I look nothing like my mother on the outside, but internally we're identical. I was like, thank you for giving me all of this madness. So
Wow.
I was being monitored for that,
Yeah.
not breast cancer. So again, but I thought I would get, like, I knew I would get cancer. Like, I mean, I just knew it just because there were just too many things happening just growing up from a teen to a young adult and all that. But again, I thought I'd be like, 70. I didn't think it'd be 2 months after my 39th birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's the thing you don't imagine. Um, and again, another weird thing that you just said then, where you said, I knew I was going to get cancer. I had a thing, a little period, early 40s, where I used to say to like my circle of friends, one of us is probably going to get cancer, and I kept saying it. And I was
And
like,
it was
I said
you.
the odds are one of us is going to get cancer, and then sure enough, I'm not saying that caused it, but it was just very odd that it was me.
Yeah. And but it is true though. Like if you think about it, almost everyone at some point is going to be touched by cancer, whether it be them specifically or someone in their family or in their friend group, you know?
Yeah,
Um, but what concerns me is the people that get cancer who don't have a family history of it that they know of. That's why I like to say that they know of. Um, that to me is scary.
I mean, obviously that's hopefully isn't something that those people are worried about because they've got no family history, so it's not something that's going to be on their mind. However, the problem with that is it's when they go to the doctor, I found something, and they say no family history, you're too young, you're male, you're a young woman, it's not going to happen, and it gets overlooked for however many years. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it's hard. I don't think obviously there's you're never going to know how many people never even made it into treatment and just died from a secondary cancer. You're never going to know those figures, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. But you know, obviously, we can spread the word to say, like your grandmother said, know your body, persevere, be persistent,
Yes. Like,
go to the doctors, don't be too scared initially. Just get in there and
yeah. Like something I like to say is after going through this, and you just hit on like the trigger word of too young. Like I was consistently told, you're too young to get this cancer. You're too young, you're too young. And I'm like, okay, that may be, but I have it. And and so I like to tell people because we're both advocates, Phil, patient advocates. I like to tell people like know your body, but also like when you're young, still young, you're not super old yet, like getting cancer, it can change our careers. It can change, for those of us who are single, like I can't date. Like I can't even think about dating. Like it's so many things that cancer, it causes all these other, like a domino effect of all these other issues that you never would think about, that you have to think about, because a lot of us are still working when
Yeah.
we get cancer. A lot of us, like we may have just gotten promoted or something, and then all of a sudden our whole career changes. Like my career
Well,
changed.
that's
I
what.
actually had to, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was going to ask. So when you got your breast cancer diagnosis, what happened? Was this being covered all by your health insurance at this point, or don't even go there?
The U.S. health insurance. Ugh, what a cluster. So I was working um, in radio at the time on the sales and traffic side, which is copy, and it wasn't the best insurance at all. And so my first thought when I got that cancer call, because I was at work, I was in my cubicle when I got the call.
Wow.
My second thought after like flipping out, like, oh my God, I was like, what the heck is invasive lobular? I had never even heard of that type of cancer. I was like, what is that? My second thought was, how am I going to afford this? Because one thing I do know is treatment is expensive.
Yeah,
Chemo is insanely
it
expensive.
is. Yeah.
Um, and I panicked. Like I was just like, I can't afford this. Even though I just met my deductible because of all the tests I was having, um, I was really fortunate that at the time when I worked, people set up GoFundMe. And then I had to let go of my pride and set up a GoFundMe for myself as well, because it hit me. I was like, cancer is bigger than me. I was like, we're not talking about, the flu or whatever. I was like, this could kill you.
Yeah.
Um, and there are major expenses. I cannot be prideful. And that was really hard. I mean, it took me a good bit to be like, okay, y'all, I need help.
Yeah.
And it's because of that I was able to get everything and get grants and all of that. But it was hard because I had to work because there was a technicality with my insurance. So I did not get covered for short-term disability. So I had to work. I was so angry. And the woman on the other line with the insurance was so cold and callous that she compared my cancer to like a broken leg.
What? Jeez. So what? So I mean, I suppose the question is, if it, how would you've complied with their rules, making it a serious, a long term illness? What would have had to have happened?
So if I had like signed up, apparently you had to have like signed up for long-term and short-term disability on this particular insurance, because every insurance they all have different protocols. If I had signed up for it like 3 months earlier, I
Right.
would have been eligible, and that meant I would have gotten like 60% of my salary while I took time off. So instead I had to take time off and I was not paid at all.
Wow.
That was what killed me. I was just like, are you serious? So it was hard, because I did not get the rest that my body needed, and my oncologist and my surgeons kept saying, you need to rest. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
are you going to pay my bills?
Yeah. So was this a big company that you were working for at the time?
Yeah, it was a huge company. It still is a huge media company, but they had sucky insurance. I'll
Right.
just say it. They had sucky insurance. And so it was that moment. Like I always used my insurance because, again, being born premature, I always have a lot of health issues. But once I got a critical illness and realizing, oh my gosh, to get coverage, to get a prior authorization for, the many tests that I needed, having to get the chemo and all these added things that I needed, it it really hit me that now I fully understand why a lot of people in the United States go bankrupt, have
Yeah.
to file bankruptcy, because that financial toxicity, if you don't have good insurance at the time of something that is critical, where your medications are insane, and I mean, this, we aren't even talking about the surgeries yet or the radiation that I had to get. Like we're just talking like right before everything. I get why people have to file bankruptcy, and I was really lucky I didn't, but all my savings was drained. It's not like I was making like a ton of money even at that time. So it really impacted me financially.
Yeah, I could totally imagine. I mean, obviously, it's one of those things where living in the UK, obviously, we have the National Health Service, and I think a lot of people don't really appreciate it. I mean, I'm sure people that have been through what you've been through and live in the UK, and it's just almost, it's you've not had to that added level of worry because of the financial cost of treatments. Because I know, obviously, because that's one of the things I actually say. Imagine if we can get early diagnosis. Imagine the money it's going to save the health service. And in the US, it would save the health insurance companies money as well.
It would. And quite honestly, like when you get a cancer diagnosis, your only focus should be getting through the treatments, the surgeries, and healing and recovery instead of, oh my God, I have to work today because I have to make sure that I can pay my rent. Like, I mean, and yes, I feel like there are a lot of grants and things that help when you're in active treatment. But my biggest issue, Phil, is post treatment. Like there are no funds to help with all of the other chronic issues that now stem from my cancer.
Yeah,
Like it's still expensive. And I'm really frustrated by that because I felt there was a lot of help and a lot of money available and funds that I could find while I was in active treatment. But I was like, this whole called survivorship, this surviving is expensive.
yeah,
And that's not talked about enough. With breast cancer, all you ever hear is just the term breast cancer. Like you don't hear about metastatic breast cancer. You don't hear about like the different types, like the type of breast cancer I had, lobular, that is deeply underfunded. Metastatic cancer is deeply underfunded. And so it's like we see all this splash of pink. I mean, yes, I'm wearing my pink because pink happens to be my signature color. It's my favorite color since I was 4 years old.
okay.
So I'd be wearing pink anyway. I'm glad it didn't like, I mean, I don't like the Pepto Bismol pink, but I realized that people aren't understanding and knowing where the money is going. Like, because we call it pink washing. Do y'all call it that? Do you use that term in the UK, pink washing?
I no, well, oof, okay, so I might be. I think I don't know. I don't know whether it's because I'm a man. I'm now becoming aware of this kind of this scenario where a lot of cancer survivors are getting a little bit frustrated around October, or breast cancer survivors are getting frustrated around October because of all this like pink fluffy breast
Mm-hmm.
cancer awareness, so-called awareness, and how it's kind of not really, like you say, not all the funds are actually making it to research or to charities, and then it's given the wrong impression that you get your diagnosis, you buy a pink t-shirt, that person goes on and lives the rest of their life fine, and in reality a lot of people's lives are completely just devastated and never the same again. And I speak to so many people, and I'm so grateful that I didn't, I'm in relatively good shape after my journey because it was so short and quick and caused it so early. And I hope in the future that everyone's journey can be as short and, I don't want to say painless because it was painful, but everyone's journey can just be a hell of a lot easier, and it is seen as a very trivial occurrence. But right now there's a lot of people who are really, really struggling,
Yeah.
like a lot of people, and I think they get frustrated. So I've just been interviewed by someone from the New York Times, and their entire article. I know. Listen to me name
I know. I
drop.
was in the New York Times last year, Phil. So
All
it's
right.
like amazing. Look at
Yeah.
us both in the New York Times. That's
I
awesome.
mean, I think I'm just going to be the token bloke paragraph at the end, I imagine. However, the whole the whole angle on the article was about this what did you call it, pink washing,
Pink washing. Mm-hmm.
and how survivors just don't like October and they almost despise October coming up, and then all the people who are kind of like, not legitimately raising money are cashing in on this,
Mm-hmm.
on the good nature of people that want to donate money, and then it's not actually making it to the people that need it. However, me being me, I was like, I kind of look forward to October because there's more. There seems to be more things to do. There's more things to get involved with. There's more people to speak to. I've done most of my interviews and appeared in newspapers and magazines during October.
Mm-hmm.
There just seems to be more activity, which is good. And so I kind of get a little bit excited. Is that wrong? That
No, well, see, here's the thing. Like, again, I mean, I get full on out. I do get excited. I was just in a fashion show, and it was all different types of cancer survivors. So representing some breast cancer, for Macy's. And it was so
oh yeah,
exciting
yeah,
for
yeah. I
me
saw
because I
that.
was like,
Yeah, that was amazing.
yeah, like I get excited, but I use it. I use this Pinktober because I get angry too because the way I think about breast cancer awareness now has evolved now that I've been through it, and I'm like, okay, well, can we like get some stats, like real stats? Can we talk about the real experiences? And like you said, some people, their journey was not as devastating, but I have friends who are dying from metastatic breast cancer who have died,
Yeah.
and no one talks about the loss of not only body parts, but there is a loss of self, especially if you had a really difficult experience with your treatment. And I've had 9 total surgeries, and so it's like when you go through so much, it changes you when you physically externally look different. When you see, like, this is my radiation, I got a secondary radiation scar because I burned at the side of my neck. Like, when
Mm.
you have all of these things, that's not being talked about. And so it's not about crushing the joy and the hope of like early stagers, because we were both early stagers, but it's about breast cancer awareness should be about the realization of what it really means to go through a breast cancer diagnosis. And that means talking about the different types and subtypes. That means talking about like metastatic and what that means, talking about the difference between that and the recurrence. Like, there's so much that we could be doing, especially the media, and they're failing us, quite frankly, because they're making it look fun and easy. Because that was initially what I thought.
Yeah.
And then when I got it, and I was like, this is complicated. This could kill me. This is life changing in both. I mean, I've been able to. I hate the phrase turning lemons into lemonade because I don't like lemonade. I say I turn lemons into a lemon martini. Like, I've been able to do that, but it's definitely come at a huge cost, and I'm still grieving because I've lost my fertility because of this.
Yeah.
Like, and they don't talk about that, and they should.
Yeah, I think. I mean, obviously, you're going to be able to speak to maybe like magazines and newspapers and get more detail in and more of how you feel if you appeared on a TV show that they're trying to keep it kind of like light and bubbly, and unless it was like a documentary maybe. Actually, are there any breast cancer documentaries on like Netflix or anywhere like that?
I think there are some documentaries. I don't know what they are, but Lord knows I would love to get on there. I mean, that's how I even like started writing. So I do write. That's kind of how I'm known, is as a writer. But I would love to get on shows and talk to more publications to get the real story, because they always want to tie it with a pretty pink ribbon.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we talk about that men can get breast cancer, men need to be aware of the signs. And like when you felt that, you're like, like you went to the doctor. And I think that's important that people know that. So I use every opportunity I can to educate people, and like when I see those pink ribbons, or I go to like a store or whatever, and they're saying, hey, do you want to donate? And I'll say, well, where's that money going? And if they can't tell me
Yeah.
where's that money going and how much of the proceeds from this, pink ribbon fundraiser that they're doing that it's going to, then I'm like, I'm not going to donate, because if they can't tell me, then that's how I know they're just doing it as promotion, because they know they can make a lot of money by faking,
Yeah.
caring about breast cancer.
I mean, obviously, the poor person that is probably thinks they're doing a good thing, selling pink ribbons, might not actually know. They might be ignorant, but it might be actually still going to a good cause. So I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't. Say everyone is up to no good. But I know on Instagram there are certain Instagram accounts which they're definitely not. They're not raising money for breast cancer charities, and they are plastered with. Well, actually, they repost a lot of breast cancer stories on their own pages, and you can see they're not real.
Well, I think every person should ask. Like, it's your right to ask. And if they don't know, say, well, can you find out?
Mm.
Because if I can hear, like, because yeah, I'm not going to expect necessarily the person at Smoothie King knowing why they're making this
Yeah,
pink smoothie. I don't know if they're doing that. I'm just throwing that out there. But it's our right to say, well, can you find out and let me know?
yeah,
And at that point, they can go to their manager, they can go to whatever, because if a store is doing this, then it had to come from someone at the top to talk about this
yeah,
promotion. And so I think the main thing I'm trying to say is ask.
yeah,
And if
yeah,
they don't know, then say, please find out, because I'd like to know
yeah. You're actually doing that.
before you give the money.
Yeah, you're doing that person a favor, if anything, because then they'll become educated about where it's going
Mm-hmm.
to. So yeah, it's a good idea. Um, so tell me more. Do we have a? Tell me about your writing.
Oh, no, we
Am I
didn't.
allowed to? Am I allowed to ask?
Of course you are. Well, yeah. So, the way it's funny, because I never thought of myself as a writer, even though I have a degree in communications. I have now I have 29 journals in my closet. Like, I don't know why I never thought I was a writer. I always thought of myself more as have a theater background, and I'm like, no, I'm an actress and all this kind of stuff. But I've always been writing. And after I made it to like officially that first year of no evidence of disease, as a talker, I literally cannot verbalize my experience, because I was so emotional and angry and hurting. And I was just like, I can't believe I just went through this. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a blog. And it was really to hold myself accountable, and to get my feelings out. I'm one of those people, I write my feelings. And I was like, this will hold me accountable. And if it resonates with one or two other people, awesome. But if
Yeah.
it doesn't, that's okay. And I never thought it would take off. My blog's called Life on the Cancer Train at warriormegzi.com. And it just started taking off, because I don't sugarcoat. I mean, if I have a great experience, I write about that. If I had like, oh my God, I think, this is horrific, because I write about the rage. We don't often talk about the anger that is felt, the frustration, the loss, the grief. And I write about that. I write about the hard stuff, but I always have my zany sense of humor, and everything. And I just put it out there, because I'm an only child. I am infertile, so I will have no physical legacy. And so to me, this is my digital legacy. And I feel really blessed that people actually read it, and not only read it, but comment and say it's helped empower them. But I never, and I say this to this day, I never write for likes and clicks. I will share something and retweet it or repost it, because I feel like I felt really passionate about what I wrote. But it's always, I write it for myself first, and then I publish. I don't write for like,
Yeah.
what do people want to hear? It's whatever comes to my head is what I
Yeah.
do. And now I freelance for WebMD under the breast cancer section.
Okay. Cool.
Um, and that happened through my blog. The previous blog editor, because now I have a new one, she found me through my blog.
Amazing.
And, you know, so it's like I've been able to receive some really great opportunities to write,
Yeah.
because I don't sugarcoat, but I put it in a way that people can resonate with it, whether you have breast cancer or any type of cancer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like it's coming from an authentic place, so it's probably going to be more effective than if you were thinking, well, hold on a minute, I'll do a post which like clickbaity.
Right.
And so yeah, it's probably going to have a bigger impact, especially if it's coming from true experience and how you're feeling. So yeah, send me the link. I don't feel like I don't feel like you mentioned that before. So have we got anything?
Well, we were talking about you before, and I
Yeah,
didn't.
I
I was like, it was
suppose.
about you.
I know, but every time you ask me a question about me, I flipped it on you. I say,
Phil,
what?
I got the third booster. I got that booster, the Pfizer booster. I was
Okay.
supposed to have my breast cancer scans on September 17th, but because the third booster, they don't know if that will affect the lymph nodes or not. They told me that I had to wait a full month before I could get my scan. So I was so annoyed that I'd had that doctor
Oh,
appointment for 6 months and I got the third booster thinking, yay, I did the right thing. And then they're like, no, well, now we need to wait because we don't want you to have a false positive
right.
on your scans. I was like, oh my God. I said, yeah, that would kill me. So they are rescheduled for October 18th. So think of me on that day because that's when we will find out if I'm still in a long term relationship with Ned, no evidence of disease.
Okay. Cool. 18th of October.
Mm-hmm.
I will remember. So did you have you had lymph nodes taken out from both sides?
Just my left side. So because my cancer, they were able to, because I had chemo before my surgeries. I had 16 rounds of chemo before my surgery. So they were able to first contain it and then shrink it as much as possible. But so during surgery, they took out the sentinel lymph node and like three other lymph nodes to see if there's any cancer. And fortunately, there was no cancer
Yeah.
in the lymph nodes. But because they took out the sentinel node, um, I have to be careful and I can't have any needles or blood pressure or anything
Yeah.
taken on my left side.
Yeah.
I don't have lymphedema because I got a lumpectomy instead of a mastectomy because that was best for my body and my pathology and family history. Um, so fortunately, I haven't had anything like that happen, but that's why I won't get any needles
Yeah.
or anything. Even if they say, "Oh, it's okay," I'm like, I don't believe you.
Yeah. No, well, do you know what? So what they did on yours is exactly the same. I had the sentinel lymph node and I don't know, it was two others or three others.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did on my very first Pfizer jab, I got my daughter to we wrote on my left arm, not this arm, and drew all flowers on it and
Oh,
decorated my arm. And so I was like, well, at least if I if I get the wrong arm out, it will actually say not this arm. But yeah, apparently it can be quite bad, can't it? So you've got to be really really careful. So yeah.
yeah. But think about that with that third booster because that's not they aren't really saying mentioning that because they don't know, quite frankly. But
Well, obviously
they
that's
wanted
because you're due to have a scan. So will it?
right.
So it's definitely happening on the 18th.
It's definitely happening on the
Right.
18th because we they rescheduled me a month out.
Right.
So I am fully so hopefully
Yeah.
because I don't again just because I don't feel anything doesn't mean to me doesn't mean anything. So I will get an MRI. So I rotate between an MRI and ultrasound every 6 months along with the diagnostic mammogram. So on the 18th I'll be getting an MRI and then the diagnostic mammogram on
Cool.
my left breast.
And is the health insurance paying for that, or is that something you have to pay for yourself?
So I will have a deductible. I just had another procedure. Oh my gosh, I guess it's been 2 weeks ago in my back. Um, again, stemming from breast cancer treatments. So we'll see. They'll let me know actually probably on early next week how much I'll have to pay up front. I know I'm close to meeting my deductible, so it'll probably be around $300 or $400, which is not cheap,
No.
that I'll have to shell out up front. So expensive.
Yeah. Well, it's on because it's ongoing. It's expensive, isn't it? That's the big thing, isn't it? No.
Exactly. And when we have these insurances that have high deductibles, like you have to cover 80% of that cost until you meet that deductible, and then the insurance will cover 80%. But right now, it falls on, my shoulders. Yeah, like so we have a deductible and then we have an out-of-pocket maximum. So it's like I
Oh.
know it bleeds you dry. So it's like there's a deductible you have to meet first, and that's where they pay for like you're in charge of 80% until you meet that deductible because they'll only pay 20%, and then it reverses, then it flips to the
Right.
insurance paying 80%, and then you pay 20% until you reach your out-of-pocket max, which is a whole other separate number,
Mm.
dollar amount. And then once you meet that out of pocket, then they will cover you at 100%. So, yeah,
What's that figure?
it depends on what who your insurance carrier is, and and our insurance, a lot of it is tied to your employment. There is ACA, the Affordable Care Act. Um, but even that, it's still pricey.
Right.
Um, so like I've had deductibles as high as $6,500 and out of pocket 10,000 max. I've had deductibles where it's only $300 and $1,000 max out of pocket. Like it just depends on
Right.
your employer. Um, if you have insurance tied with your employer, what kind of insurance they have that they're going to give you. I mean, it's always something, and it's frustrating because I can never like save and have a real nest egg to do what I want and to like buy a home, like because I have to constantly be paying for this and tests and anesthesia and like all these added, medical bills because of these deductibles and then your out of pocket costs. Bill, like I added up all of my bills for chemo, and I said, without insurance, it was almost $500,000, but with insurance, it cost around $230,000.
Wow. So how much did you raise on your GoFundMe page?
I it was so amazing to me. Oh my god, I'll probably get emotional because the people that donated to my GoFundMe were people from like the high school days, from my elementary school days, from the college days, from like my early work history days, like people from all over. It was amazing. So honestly, it was around almost $25,000. And all of that went to expenses, help pay for the Neulasta injections that I had to get, helped keep a roof over my head and other bills paid. Like it was truly amazing. So I was able to take like actually took 8 weeks off after my surgery. So I was finally able to like just take some time. I was just so humbled by the amount of people who wanted to help.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, like I mean when I saw people from like because I'm from Macon, Georgia. And I was like, what? From St. Joseph's, from Mount to Sales Academy? Like I just couldn't believe it. So I just felt really, really blessed because without that help, and then with what my company at the time did, like all of that helped. So I didn't have that huge financial burden, but it was once I got into the survivorship stage is where I got hit financially again, and there were no grants. There's nothing to help in the survivorship stage.
So what's the if you could wave a magic wand, how would survivorship be?
Survivorship would be actually having a real plan, because a lot of us, like my oncologist, dropped me. He was like, "You're too healthy now. I don't need to see you." Oh, okay. Can we have a chat about this? Who's going to monitor me? What is it I need to be looking out for? What should my primary look out for? They're not trained in breast cancer. It would also be having grants and recognizing that those who do survive and are not metastatic we now have chronic health issues where we now need tests or additional surgeries that all stem from the original cancer. So I think it's recognizing that we still need funding. We still need funding for stage 4. We still need funding for these chronic health issues, but we also need a real survivorship plan. So we feel that our health isn't just being dropped because we don't have something that is actively trying to kill us yet.
I think I'm just like the anomaly where I like to think like I've just it's my life has changed and it's generally all positive. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel a little bit kind of uneasy, you know, always saying that. But, you know, all I can do, because I always struggled with, you know, speaking to people like yourself, and I'm like, oh my God, like, nothing has actually happened to me. It's, you know, don't get me wrong.
Well,
Like last month, I got this thing in my back, which I still don't actually know what it is officially, but they seem to be very. I got an email from the doctor, and apparently it's the scan was reassuring, and to make a telephone appointment. So I'm assuming it's something that's just been lying there dormant, and it's nothing to kind of worry about. I hope.
well, here's what I say to that is first of all, don't feel bad because I always say every body is different. You know what I mean? And so that means your experience with breast cancer is different. And I think it's important to share that we all have different experiences. No one has the same experiences, though there are some commonalities that with certain things that happen that you might share. But I think it's also important to say that we don't know the damage that the cancer, all the damage that the cancer caused, or that the treatments or that the surgery caused. Like I have 3 benign lesions on my spine at the moment that they're like, okay, those are benign, but we're going to monitor it. And I'm like, what now? Like, it, I'm just
Oh
like, I
no.
can't anymore. I want a refund on this defective body. Like, done. But we have to keep hope alive. It is important to keep pushing forward um, and surrounding yourself with like a really good support system. And again, everyone's experience, there are going to be some highs and lows, and some are just even keeled. And so don't feel bad about that because your experience was yours. And it's okay to share that and let others know, well, this was my particular experience. Hopefully it can be like that. But if not, it's also important to acknowledge that for some it's really, really difficult
Yeah.
and, embrace that as well.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. It's like obviously you've shared like a hell of a lot there, and you've been through a hell of a lot. The very first impression I got when we spoke um, last time was just like burst of energy when you when we connected on the Zoom, and I was like, oh my God, this person is like is in such an amazing place. But obviously, it's not always like that, I guess.
Yeah, you'd never know because I look so healthy and all of that. But that's the thing I say is cancer cannot take away the essence of you. My personality, like I am like this even without coffee or tea. I'm just like, woo, like that's just my essence. That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
just me. And so yes, I have some dark periods, okay. But it couldn't take that. And
yeah,
so that's what you see. So you get to see me, but I also show the other sides of me. But this burst of energy is, as you called it, that's something cancer can't ever take away.
no, no, and yeah, don't let it. Did you want to mention Ancora? Is that
Yes. In Cora AI, I have a YouTube show with them. We call it the Megan Claire Show by Ancora. And they are a clinical trial company, and they are actually based in Berlin, Zurich, and Croatia. And it's really through them that I really have started to understand clinical trials in a different way. And I'm actually looking for a clinical trial right now because my body is intolerant of all the post cancer treatment meds for my particular type of breast cancer. And I'm like, okay, we got to find something here because I've literally been on nothing for 5 years. And so it's really through that amazing team. I started out with writing for them. And so now I've been able to interview awesome people like you, Phil, and others in the cancer community with different types of cancers and get their experiences. And if they've ever heard of clinical trials, what were their thoughts? If they have been in one, what that experience was like, and trying to help debunk the myths of clinical trials. And I just really love what they do. They're a really solid and passionate team. In fact, they're doing some things with Future Dreams in the UK. I spoke with them.
Yay!
And so, yeah,
Oh, right, that's
yeah.
cool.
And so, yeah, it's really cool with what they do because their mission is really about making sure all patients know that clinical trials, you can think of them as an option, like in the very beginning. You don't have to be at stage 4 and dying to be considered for a clinical trial. And a lot of patients don't realize that. And so I have fun. I get to put my talk show hat on, but I'm also learning a lot because I'm talking to not only patients, I'm talking to researchers and doctors to, get the scoop and humanize, the world of clinical trials.
So
So,
what's the best?
Encore.ai.
Right, okay. I was going to say what's the best link to use, but if you search for that in YouTube, you'll find it.
Yes, you will. And
Okay.
Cora.ai. And I'll also send you the link too.
Did is the Future Dreams connection? Did I obviously I mentioned Future Dreams to you, didn't I?
No, did you? No, they were doing that ahead of time, and then I spoke with Sasha at Future Dreams, and she's amazing. And Sarah at Ticking Off Breast Cancer. So like we just all connected. Um, yeah.
All right. I wasn't sure because it just seems odd that you're like, oh, Future Dreams, because obviously Future Dreams, I've just done a video for them at their new building in London.
Get out! No,
Yeah.
because Encore connected with them and they went to take a tour of the building.
What?
Phil,
What?
okay. Do you see this? This
Yeah.
is a fake tattoo because I literally just partnered. Well, I'm known as a cancer influencer with Momentary Inc. And I had cancer. And they sent me, we call it SCART, because I've always wanted a tattoo on my left side, but because of the whole lymph node thing, I can't have any needles. So
Right.
I talked with their designers, they did my story, and they came up with this because I was like, I like the idea that my body is like kind of broken and I'm trying to figure out how to
Looks like a
mend
knee.
it back
Yeah,
together.
yeah, yeah,
And so they sent this to me. So I put it on. I was like, oh my gosh, you'll be seeing that on October 15th. We're doing a big push about it. But like,
yeah. I want to connect with Matthew Knowles. Matthew Knowles. So
what's
he had
that?
so he had breast cancer. It's Beyonce's dad.
Oh,
The penny actually
no, I
dropped.
was like, why does it last name so familiar?
Yeah, it's
Oh my God. If you
Beyonce's
do that, oh my God.
Beyonce's dad had I think he calls it chest cancer. But yeah,
Okay, I'll be looking out for this.
that'd be so cool to just connect with him. Obviously, we're not allowed in the US at the moment, but one day something to aim for.
I have loved talking with you, and we should totes just like hang, like, have like a
Yeah.
happy hour or something. That would be so much fun.
I mean, apart from the time zone, I mean, you could drink at 11, can't you?
Sure. I work from home. That was
This
good
is
enough.
it. No. We should chat more often. It's cool. It's cool. And
Yeah.
maybe I don't think there'd be anything wrong with you doing a GoFundMe if you were still racking up those bills.
Oh, thank you. I think for the moment I'm somewhat okay, but it is, it is something I'm really. I mean, I just have to. It just sucks because like my dream townhome is gone. So, but we'll see. I'm trying to get back into voiceovers and acting. I'm an acting class tonight at the Alliance Theatre. So,
Excellent. Amazing.
yeah. So
You'll have to tell
my,
me
my
about.
therapist,
You have
yeah.
to tell me about that next time we speak. Yeah, no worries. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have an
Okay.
amazing time, and I hope you feel well and healthy and energized, and as you normally are.
You like this talking with you made my day. Like I was so looking forward to it because it started my morning off right. So I'm gonna go
Yeah.
into my meeting. They're gonna be like, "Why are you so joyful?" Be like, "Because I was talking with Phil in the UK."
Oh,
What?
plus I'm always like that. You're always buzzing. Oh no, it's really good to chat to you. Enjoyed it. Let's do it again.
Definitely. Cheers.
Okay. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.